All right, guys. Thanks everyone for joining us. It's Brian with Roads, Rivers, and Trails, and joining me is Joe Solomon. And Joe is currently on the Mississippi River. He is joining us live from like mid-adventure. If you haven't caught it before, Joe has joined us multiple times before. So we caught up with Joe in the planning phases. We caught up with Joe right before he launched to take this like huge endeavor. He's paddling the entire Mississippi. Probably don't know anyone else that's done that if I had to guess. So this is a huge feat, and now we're lucky enough to catch up with him, and he gets good enough reception and some crystal clear video here, and hopefully the audio works out with us. But he is on a beach just south of St. Paul. He's over 500 miles in, and so this is just a really cool opportunity just to stop and catch up. You know, you always hear, we talk to people beforehand, we talk to people after the trip, and you try to summarize like months of a trip that was so epic. And so, Joe, I think this is really cool that we're able to catch up with you a portion of the way through, and I want to pick your brain about how it's been going, man. So first off, welcome.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate the nice little introduction you had there.
Totally. So tell us, I guess, where you're at, how far you've gone. I summed it up a little bit, but what are the stat lines so far for your trip?
Well, for the first 2 days I hiked, so I had to drag my kayak. That was about 15 miles in that we dragged our kayaks. And then got to a little deeper water and was able to paddle. The paddling's been very difficult because the water is at an all-time low. They're saying that this water is the lowest they've seen in 50 years up here. And I'm paddling about 25 to 30 miles a day. I averaged it up this morning. It's about 20 miles that I'm getting a day. And then, I've paddled 500 miles so far, and there's no current to assist. So I've been paddling against the winds again, like the Ohio River. And now I'm here on a small island south of St. Paul, and this is where we're camping out for the night.
Very cool. And you mentioned something super key there. You said like the Ohio. So everybody that's listening, if you don't know Joe already, if you haven't joined us in the past, 2 years ago, correct me if I'm wrong, Joe paddled the entire Ohio River. And very notable in both of these endeavors is Joe's mission. Joe, your mission to raise awareness just for mental health, to talk about your own experiences, and to kind of bring this to the forefront. And then at the same time, here you are also doing a fundraiser for Adventure Crew. If you could tell us about both of those things.
Yeah, so Adventure Crew is a great nonprofit in Cincinnati. They take inner city kids out into nature, fishing, kayaking, hiking, biking. Their motto is outdoors for all. So they take a lot of this inner city kids in Cincinnati out into nature, and I've been trying to raise money for them. The media hasn't been totally on it, but Minneapolis is the first city that I've came to really, and they have their own problems right now with that police officer having to be sentenced today. So they were really busy and were unable to catch up to me as I came through here. But so far I set a goal for $10,000 to raise for Adventure Crew because I figured, I'm going to be on the river for such a long time that maybe I can get it up to $10,000. And so far I've raised $750 for Adventure Crew.
Well, and it's just the beginning. I remember when you were paddling on the Ohio, as you picked up steam, press was picking you up in every other city. You really get to telling your story, and the impact adds up fast. So I have no doubt that you could really knock away at that goal, and got faith that you could do it. And Adventure Crew being such an awesome organization for you to support, and I think it's a perfect organization as well for you guys to partner up with. By the way, Bill says hi.
Someone said, "What's up?"
Yeah. So just with the mission and just kind of the health benefits that getting outside provides, and your history with that, and getting out and kayaking, and that opening up all kinds of avenues for you, and really just being out in nature, and the impact that had. So I think
Yeah.
it's a great partnership.
Thank you. I think so too.
Yeah, totally. So, all right, let's go through some of the challenges of your day to day. You talked about low water, and that's a fun excuse, Joe. But why don't you tell us why the police really came over to you on the river? What did you do? Well, were you in trouble?
They found my stash, man. No, I'm just kidding. uh, yeah, I did the portage. It was a 450-yard portage, so I had to walk through a neighborhood with my kayak. And I got to the end of the portage, and it was a 4 or 5 foot drop to giant boulders. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to tear up this kayak. I'm going to flip it trying to get it in there. I'm going to dump everything out of it, and it's all going to break. And I couldn't figure out a line. I tried to cut a line through the rocks to figure out where I could line it up through and kind of slide it in, and that wasn't working. So I tried to call the local fire department, but accidentally called the police. And I talked to the dispatch, and her father did the Mississippi last year, I think. And she knew the struggle. She knew that I was out here doing my thing. I had a nice conversation with her over the phone, and I turned around. There's 2 police officers came rolling up, and they checked my ID and asked me what my name was, all that good stuff. But once they confirmed I was who I was, then they proceeded to help me get the kayak up off this wall back into the water.
Wow, that's awesome. And you come across, I don't think it just would happen for anybody or come so natural. Not on the Mississippi because you don't have a network necessarily. Not enough people paddle that day in and day out. But you have an knack for coming across help when you need it and trail
Yeah,
when you need it. Talk to us about the impact of people that help along the way.
man, it gives me goosebumps just thinking about it, Brian. These folks are river angels, and there's a network of them. They all know each other, and they contact each other and say, "Hey, Joe's coming through. You might want to put him up for a night." And I was telling you earlier before we started this live video that I've eaten more river angel food, and I'm still rolling around with about 12 to 14 days worth of food because I'm not really eating a lot of it. Uh, yesterday I was invited to somebody's house during the day, and I stopped by, and they had a hammock right on the river, and I laid in that hammock, and then she was having a party at her house, and they had all this food, and I just pounded a bunch of food and just chilled by the river all day. It was really nice. It was a short day because I had a portage, and I was going home with another river angel that night. Hence me eating river angel food the whole time. I really haven't had a chance to cook for myself too often. And for the first 2.5 to 3 weeks, uh, well, for the first week, I was with some people, and then they disappeared on me, and I haven't even tried to catch up. They keep bouncing down river pretty quick. And so I was alone. I started cooking the food that I had, and then I started running into a bunch of river angels again, and I'm like, I was probably by myself for about 5 days. I didn't see another human being. I saw a lot of cows and a lot of deer and birds and stuff like that, but I didn't see one human in 5 days. Uh, and as I was doing that 5 days, on the fifth day, I was coming through a bunch of oxbows. Oxbow is like a twist in the river, and it zigzags back and forth all the way down. Well, I came around this corner, and there was a whole family standing on the edge of the river, and they were all staring at me, and I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. And this one guy in the back of this family yells out, "Hey, Joe, how's your tooth?" And I'm like in the middle of nowhere. And apparently he had seen me on the news a couple days before and was like, "Yeah, man, we saw you on the news." And then they invited me to their graduation party and fed me all this food. And it was a pretty amazing experience that day just to see those people in the middle of nowhere like that.
Hold on a second.
Uh,
How long were they waiting on the side of the river for you?
oh, they were just partying there, and they didn't have a
Okay.
clue I was even coming through. But when
Okay.
I came through, the one guy that had seen me on the news the day before, he was like, "Oh, how's your tooth doing?" And I was blown away by that, man.
So
Locals, go ahead.
you brought up a pretty critical point too. You were alone for 5 days.
Yeah.
Not just alone, but like you're not passing people, no river angels, no like super established campsites, right? Like you're dragging up a muddy bank or doing what you can. Um,
Yeah.
that's a drain, right? Like that's a serious mental and physical drain. Um,
Yeah, man, it was really wearing on me bad. And I did some live videos, and I know that people were seeing that I was extremely frustrated, and I was. And then shortly after all that went down, I started having a better mindset about it. I'm like, I'm not going to get anywhere if I'm sitting here being frustrated every day. And I was frustrated with myself and the conditions that I'm following through. And people were telling me, hey, I heard the frustration in your voice the other day. And I'm like, yeah, I was frustrated. But the conditions have gotten better. It's still windy and there's no current. So I'm gonna manpower this all the way down to Louisiana into the Gulf of Mexico.
heck yeah.
There's really not much that's gonna stop me from doing this.
Well, Joe, you've got to, because I said I'm not shaving this mustache until Joe finishes the Mississippi.
What?
And my
Oh man,
wife,
you're
my wife said, "You, Joe, better finish the Mississippi tomorrow." So,
gonna.
so I don't
That's
know
not
when you're
happening.
going out, but you've got to, because we really enjoy keeping up with you and seeing those updates. And nobody wants this around on my face for much longer. So,
Well, I was toying with the idea of when I get to Cairo, turning and going up the Ohio back to Cincinnati. And I told a friend then, he was like, hell no, you're not doing that, Joe. It's not an option. You got to get down here.
yep.
Apparently, my friend is contacting all of his friends that live in Louisiana. So when I go through there, I'm basically going to have somebody feeding me every single day once I hit Louisiana.
Man, that is going to be the
People
best
coming
time of
out to
your
help
life.
me. What's that?
That's going to be the best time of your life. Have you had
Oh,
like
yeah.
that kind of cuisine before? I mean, it's some
Oh,
of our
yeah.
food.
I've been down south quite a few times, and I really like the food down there. I can't wait to get down there and eat some of it.
Going to be taken care of.
Yeah, yeah. So
So pretty cool. So
yeah,
tell
and
us.
I was talking to you before about the tooth thing. So everybody that follows me knows it happened, but week 1.5, I was chewing on some trail mix and my tooth cracked in half. And it wasn't painful or nothing, but it was trapping food in it, and then my gums were swelling up on me, so it had to go. I was in Grand Rapids, Minnesota, and so I called every single dental place in that town, and they all told me no, 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 nobody could help me. Well,
Right.
some lady from California saw me on a River Angels page asking anybody if they had a hookup with a dentist in Grand Rapids, and she called and lied to the dentist, said she was my sister, and then I was passing through and she was from that town and everything. Then they started asking her what my birth date and my name was and everything, and she really didn't know. So she called me real quick out of nowhere and said, Joe, you got to call this dental office and tell them everything about yourself. And I did, and they got me in the next morning to extract that tooth. So a little bit of fibbing and a little bit of somebody calling from California to help me get my tooth fixed. It was pretty awesome. I
Wrong
thought that
time
was
and
cool.
wrong place, though. I mean, I think a little bit of
Yeah.
okay.
And I had to hold up for 3 days because I had to let it heal. And thank God I had a river angel to stay with, and he had a cool boat, a jet ski, and a really nice house. And I kind of just lived a life for 3 days there. It was nice, but it slowed down my momentum. I wanted to keep paddling, and I was kind of held up with that, but um, it was made a comfortable situation.
I got to be honest, Joe. The way that you describe this paddle at moments. Now, granted, you've got really, really tough moments, but we're talking about the extremes on both sides. You've talked about your tough moments, uh, but you've also described chilling in a hammock outside like a giant like fancy party, and then jet skiing and staying at this dude's awesome house. Like this sounds a little bit like just like a vacation I'd pay for as well. Like
Shit.
you come into
Uh,
some luck. More people have to get out and do some big things like this, because as bad as they seem, people are there for you. Moments arise, you arise to the moment, all of the above, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm paddling with two other guys right now. They're pretty interesting characters, let me say. Um, their boat's name is the SS Black Sheep. Good guys, though. I'm really having a lot of fun.
How far are they paddling?
They paddle 500 miles too.
Oh, cool.
So
Awesome. They going the whole
they
way?
started about 4 days after me, and they caught up to me. And yeah, they're going all the way to
Damn, that's
Louisiana,
awesome.
all the way to the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah,
So
very,
it's going to be a good time.
very
I may
cool.
not stay with him very long, but I'm going to paddle with him as best as I can, because a canoe moves a little faster than a kayak when you got two people paddling.
Oh, they're in a canoe. Very cool. What kind of canoe?
Yeah. Here, hold on a second. I wanted to see if I can flip this and show you our camp real quick.
Nice. I was going to
I
say, if
can
the
do that.
clothing can be G-rated enough, we could say hi.
Yeah, they got clothes on.
I was going to say,
Hey
Joe, that
guys,
they can hear you.
holler, say hi. Yeah, holla.
What's going on, Joe?
Yeah, they're river rats, straight up.
Very cool. I love it. Very
So
cool. Enjoying life, man.
yeah, man, try to live life to its fullest potential, man. That's what I'm doing, and it's not easy, but I'm making it. I've lost
Yep.
about 15 or 20 pounds since I started too.
Heck yeah,
I
brother.
knew that was coming. That's why I beefed up before I started it. But I don't know. Next adventure I do, I don't think I'm gonna get half as chunky as I was when I started.
It's reserves, man, in case you ran out of that 14-day food supply.
Yeah. I've been drinking protein shakes every morning and night, so that works out well.
Yeah, very cool.
You have to go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Yeah, you got to consume multiple, massive amounts of protein and calories, because paddling in slack waters like this is very hard, and you can't rest your arms at all because you don't make any forward movements. So it's just paddle, 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 paddle all day long. It'd be really nice if we had a current to just kind of carry us when we get to those moments where we're kind of tired and our arms are killing us. But
Yeah.
my body has adjusted really well at this point, and now I can power down river like no other.
You got any rain in the forecast? I mean, any side of it
No,
back up?
7 day. Every time I look at the 7 day forecast, it's nothing but sun, and I'm like, I need rain. We need rain bad.
So you expect this to continue, which means some slower days will continue. You'll be in the
Yeah,
20 to 30 mile range per day.
yeah, about 30 miles a day. It's
What's
nothing
your
but a lake between the lock and dam, so we're just paddling in slack water right now.
thing? What was your biggest day on the Ohio?
42 miles in one day.
Oh, can you beat it? Can you beat it on this trip?
Oh, once I get below the Ohio River, yeah, I'll kill it. I'll get 70 miles in a day, easy.
Ooh, that's a big
Not
promise.
easy, but yeah. Oh yeah, I can get this speed record lady that's trying to do it right now is she's getting some good mileage. She's saying that the water's kind of slacked out down there too, but she's chugging along pretty good. The other day she had like 72 miles in one day. And if that can be done, then I'm gonna try it.
Yep. So where do you what are some kind of next notable moments for you? Like what's the next big city or big stop or thing that you're, place that you're looking forward to? What's next?
I purchased a knife when I started. One of the guys that paddled with me is a knife maker, and it's personalized. It's got Mississippi River 2021 on it, and it's actually got my tattoo that's on my right arm etched into it, and it's a really badass knife.
That's a
And
cool tattoo, by
so
the way. Can we see that?
yeah,
I love it.
I guess you could see it. Yeah, it's the Ohio River behind a kayak.
You gonna add the Mississippi to that?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do something like that, but it's just gonna be a giant line down the side of my arm. I don't know what to do with it. I gotta figure out how to do that. So
Just like a map.
just some squiggly line on my arm.
You know the story. That's all that matters.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And people ask about it, and you can tell them what you did.
Yep. So when are you picking up this knife? Go ahead about that.
It's in Dubuque, Iowa. I don't know how long it's going to take me to get there. It's haven't had the maps. The SS Black Sheep says 1 week will be in Dubuque.
Cool.
Yeah, like 4th of July kind of time. Which there's going to be a bunch of people out recreationing. I don't know where I'm going to go for the 4th. I don't have nothing planned, so we'll see how it goes.
I think things are going to fall into your lap just fine, if I had to guess.
Oh yeah, it already has multiple times.
Right.
If I pray hard enough, somebody will show up. It really works every single time.
Very cool, man.
So,
So what's a favorite spot? Let's say, okay, so you've done 500 miles. If I wanted to get out and hey, you inspired me. The Mississippi's cool. I want to see some of the Mississippi. If I wanted to go do a 100-mile section of the 500 miles you've done so far, or a 50-mile section, where would you take me to?
what do you guys know of what the section's called? Where all those really crazy oxbows, where you're going around each corner? Uh, the catacombs is what they call it. It's a bunch of oxbows, and I was like Tokyo drifting through these oxbows. It was a lot of fun, man. I, I I I was chasing the current basically, and when you do these outside lines, you come flying around these corners, and then you hit slack water. You got to paddle around the slack water because every point has slack water over the top of it.
Yeah.
So I was just flying through there, paddling really hard, and it turned out really nice, and I really enjoyed that section. It's so beautiful there. I think the picture that I made my profile with the barn or whatever, that was very beautiful up there. Maybe somebody can stand and correct me on the comments, or somebody who's done this before knows what that section is called, but I would go back there any day.
How far back was that? About halfway back?
Probably a good 200 or 300 miles behind me.
Okay. So 200 plus miles in, somewhere in the middle there.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll have to try to figure that out, see if we can figure that out and post it. But
I'll tell you what, man. There's maps. I've got these maps. They're Minnesota DNR maps that are the Mississippi River Trail. And I guess what I was going to say about that. So these maps have been like the best thing that I can use, but they don't tell you everything. You have to correlate them with like your the Zolio I got. That's got great maps with it, and you can download offline maps. But yeah, I mean, I've gone through all the maps. I got one map left before I'm out of the state, and I couldn't be a happier man right now because the state of Minnesota is a third of this entire trip.
Yeah, I just to relate, like that's Virginia on the Appalachian Trail, man. It's not that it's a bad state, it's a beautiful state, but it's just so massive that you just
Yeah,
check another box and you're just kind of done with it by the time you cross that
I,
state line. It's not like anything changed, right? You're on the same river, or you're on the same trail.
well,
But
that's what I was going to mention before, is that like every map changes the whole scenery. So each map, you go through a section, and then you get to the end of that map, and the river completely changes. So it's gone from a small stream that I had to hike through for 15 miles all the way to now we're probably a quarter mile across.
how wide were the oxbows?
Oh, that wasn't wide at all. And it was dangerous because like the winds were heavy and there were tree jams all over the place. So it was hard to navigate through all these tree dams, and the water's so low that there's trees actually sticking up out of the water. There's rocks, like big giant boulders, the rock beds. That I hit a rock the other day, and it separated the bulkhead out of the front of the kayak. So I had to push it back and then flex seal everything. But when I hit this boulder, man, the whole kayak folded. It like flexed with this boulder up under me,
Wow.
and popped the bulkhead off.
How's the repair holding up?
It's doing pretty good. It's holding water in the hatches now instead of it flowing all the way through the kayak. And it's not much. The back end's not getting hardly any water. And at the front end, I have to reseal the entire hatch. And I don't have the tools and the stuff to get that done, but there's water coming in the hatch.
Just like over the top, like it's the hatch cover or the.
Yeah, so the hatch has, the cover's fine. It's the plastic ring that the cover goes over. It's leaking where the screws go into it. I gotta probably recalk all the way around that.
Then you're having some equipment issues, because this isn't the first equipment issue I've heard about. So you've got
I really don't want to talk much about it because it's been
all
it's
right.
been a disaster.
Skip it.
Yeah, man, I fried out my tracker day one, and they sent me a new one, and it was broke. So I got all my money back for all that. And then I bought the Zoleo, and these River Angels stepped it down to the river until one guy brought it to me downriver, and it's worked great since. But now I'm in areas where I have full cell phone service. So it's like when I didn't, because I didn't have cell phone service for the first 2.5 weeks. Apparently there was a storm up there. It knocked out a couple cell phone towers and they never put new ones in. So T-Mobile does not work in northern Minnesota. And but that Zoleo is sweet because I can send a text message on my phone through the Zoleo, and then it sends it through a satellite, and then it beams it, the message back to me. And it's a good way for my friends and family to follow me. I've got them all added to it, and it works out great.
That's very cool. And
I got that from you too. Well.
Yeah, and you know, it was cool that you added me to it, and I made it all.
You know where I'm at, yeah.
Right? Yeah, I could check it out. I actually want to see if we can like share a link to that thing, because that is a cool thing, man. It's just some unique gear, but you need to get find a way to get you. Just that boat's going to be tough, man, to fix while you're out there. I'd love.
I resealed the bulkheads with Flex Seal, and it works. It's keeping the water in the hatches. I just got to fix that hatch. It's not a big deal.
Okay.
I might get a screwdriver and take it off and check the seal on it and try to fix wherever the seal is around it. This River Angel yesterday said, Joe, you're going to run into all kinds of stuff for the rest of the way. He's like, you'll probably flip it at least once. And I said, I already did. And he was like, well, then you don't have to worry about flipping your kayak anymore.
You got the one out of the way. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it. That's all I do. Yeah, no. Yeah.
Well, I hope you're right about that.
Yeah, I'm kind of paranoid about it. I got to lose some weight inside of this kayak because it's just too much.
Well, you're gonna feed people along the way until you drop some of that food weight, right? Like.
Yeah.
So how do people, we've talked a lot about like some of the stories you've told in the past, and we've just kind of touched on them. People that want to hear more about these stories or kind of see what you're talking about, how do people follow you, Joe?
Kayaking for a Cause with the number 4 instead of spelling out 4 on Facebook and Instagram. And I have a website, which I haven't done much with it, and it's kind of slacking on that. It's k4c2021.com.
It's like you're paddling 30 miles a day or something. Where's your web programming it? Like how you dropping the ball on that? Like
I have no time with it. So my friend Lauren and my friend Justin are both working on the website. They're stealing stuff off of Facebook and putting it on there, and she's got a bunch of questions for me. I just got to answer all these questions so she can type something up for it. I just don't have the time or the effort or by the time the day's over, I'm so exhausted. I don't have time to sit down and write stuff. And there's a lot of River Angels that I've encountered that I haven't shouted them out. So over the next couple of weeks, every day, I'm going to add another River Angel story on my Facebook page.
That's awesome. That will be fun to keep up with. I mean, I really do think that Angels are one of the more, I don't know, just more exciting points of an adventure like this.
Yeah. I mean, I got pictures with every one of them, so I have to take those pictures and tell a story about what they did for me.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I'd like kind of make it a little what is that? It's like Faces of New York or something that was like really popular. You're just kind of finding these whatever regular people that are out there, right? That are doing really cool big things. And in this case, helping you on a journey that's super important to you.
Yeah.
Guys,
It's
I
the
am
first barge I've seen since I've been on the river. It's coming by right now. And it's a
probably
big daddy. He's got 12 barges on that thing, man. I wish I could zoom in on it. No. Yeah, it's
guys,
the first barge. What's that?
oh, I was going to say, I just copy and pasted the link to Joe's Facebook
Oh,
page
yeah.
and to the
Thank you.
Adventure Crew page on this live video thread. So you can always kind of check back there and check it out.
Nice.
Look ahead and see what's going on. Can you flip to the barge? Can you see it or no?
Yeah, I'll flip back to it. It's massive. It's got 12 barges and they're all full.
Well, now we get a grasp for like how big the river is right now too. That's pretty cool.
Well, they dredge the river. Well, they kept the water level at like level when there's no rain like this. So it's basically a free, no moving lake between the lock and dams. That's a big barge. The tug
Right.
on it's huge. This is bigger than an Ohio River barge for sure.
Just stay out of his way.
Yeah, no, we stayed to the right side of the buoys.
Yeah, you
See
learned
that
your
buoy
lesson
out there? I don't know if you can even see it, but there's a green buoy right there. They stay to the left and we stay to the right.
Oh wow. Now I can't spot it, but that's
Pretty far out there. These guys are trying to get him to honk his horn. He probably will. This river's beautiful though, man. Everywhere you go on this river, it's gorgeous. Every corner you turn, it's even prettier than the corner you were on.
Now I don't want you to make enemies, but so far, more or less epic than the Ohio journey.
Oh man. You're asking me about a river I grew up on. I don't
All
know
right,
what to
I tell
say
you what,
about
let's
that.
press calls on that. Let's ask that question when you're another 500 miles in.
I'd have to say this is way more challenging than the Ohio ever was.
Yeah, I can see that.
But it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I can't wait to see what some of these other states look like from the shores of the river. Yeah, that's a big barge.
Joe, thanks for joining us today, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me,
This has been
Brian.
unreal. This has been so cool to catch up, and I'm just thrilled that like the reception worked and we've got that connection, and we can kind of bring you live to the people and everything.
Yeah. Let's do it
Uh,
again in another couple of weeks when I'm another
that's exactly
500
what I was
miles
thinking.
downriver.
Yeah, get a few hundred more miles. We'll find a spot that's good, whether it's just a good weathered day that we can hear you, or if you're in a town and it works out better. I love catching up with you just like, I mean, in the moment though, like you are at camp on the river, and I think that is super rad. So, yeah, hopefully we get to do that again. Any
Yeah.
parting words for everybody listening here?
Don't give up on a bad day. That's what I keep telling myself. So I can't give up on a bad day. Well, every day's been a bad day, so I haven't had the opportunity to quit yet.
Well, Joe, that makes me want to wish you many bad days ahead of you.
Well, yeah. Anything can change. It changes so fast. But yeah, no, I've had a good 5 days that have been good days recently. So I'm in good spirits. I feel good. My body's stronger now, and I'm just trying to cruise.
Yep. Well, all the best of luck to you. All the best of luck to the black sheep over there.
Yeah, they every time they see a bald eagle, they yell out Eddie. I don't get it, but it's funny.
We'll need that story next time too. You've had a lot of bald eagles along the way.
Oh man, they're everywhere.
Like, yeah,
So
good omens you found out, right?
oh yeah. They're leading the way every morning, man. They fly downstream right in front of you.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Carol says hi as well, by the way. What a trip.
So I said, what's up?
Go,
Hi,
Joe.
Mom.
Says. That's awesome. All right, Joe.
All
I'm
right,
gonna
bud.
I'm gonna let you make camp. I'm gonna let you do your thing. I know it's been an exhausting day. I really thank you for joining, and everybody for tuning in. And we'll catch up with you again soon.
All right, bud. I'll talk to you soon, man.
All right, peace, brother.
All right, bye.